celebrate all the hard work that we do to assist you. So I want to just have you give yourselves a round of applause for joining us. They say, how many people you think you might have, Wanda? I said, I don't know, 3 to 1,000. So I just want to thank you all for showing up. And at this time, we're going to get our program started. What I want to talk about first is digital inclusion. The questions that we'll be answering. What is it? How do we master it? Is it something that we can clone? Are there co-ops that we can create to make sure that digital inclusion is available for all of us, all Americans, across our county, our state, and across America? This is a pressing issue today, and all of you kind of know what's going on. We're going to shed some light on some things that you may not know, and then I'm always willing to share. You may even have some things that you want to share with us. But I just want to say welcome to you. I'm glad you all came, and I have just a few things I want to do. Shalitha told me, because I always forget. We have a wonderful committee that is, this is not in the middle. There we go. We have a wonderful committee that assisted us, and you can either raise your hand or stand up for the planning committee. And I just want to introduce them real quick because it's so important. Nothing like this happens by yourself. And that's just exactly the point we're making here with digital inclusion. None of this happens alone. It's all the partnerships that have worked throughout the years that has actually gotten us to where we are now. And we don't want to go backwards. So this is the beginning of our Ohio stand, is that we won't go back. Remember that, okay? I want to ask Bill Callahan, raise your hand. Troy Dillard and Sarah Green. Amy Laurie. Shalitha Mitchell. LaDonna Norris. Rebecca Rinaldo. Samantha Sharpman, if she's here. And also our illustrious Leon Wilson. Wasn't able to join us, but he sent us well wishes to a wonderful event of sharing and learning about each other. Give this group a round of applause, because when I asked them to join me and let's make this happen, each and every one of them said yes, right away. There was no hesitation or anything. What do you need? And I say, I really don't know, but if we meet, we can figure it out. And so they were there at my very first meeting, and actually were eager to assist. Before I go any further, I want to introduce my co-chair, Shalitha Mitchell, and she's with CSU Cry AHAC. Her title is so long, so I'll let her talk about that and tell you what it is. But she's been assisting us with our DAP program through the years, helping us make sure that if one of our students does not have a connection, she has provided hotspots for us throughout the years, throughout the last 5 years through CSU. So I like to acknowledge her for that, because that partnership is definitely needed. We always want our folks to stay totally connected. And so she is part of our DAP program along with other members. And with that, I'm going to have her say a couple words, and I'll come back and conclude the opening remarks for our guests.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ms. Davis. I appreciate that. Okay, so many of you know me in a couple of capacities today. As Ms. Davis mentioned, I am representing Cleveland State University School of Nursing, Center Director for the Cleveland Interprofessional Area Health Education Center, AHEC for short. So that's why she said she made me do my own title. Imagine when I introduced myself at conferences, they were like, all right, you can sit down now. But yeah, and so the AHEC Center we proudly work with students in health careers and students who are going to medical school for a variety of healthcare disciplines, as well as pre-med students. And there's an array of programming and community-based experiential trainings scholars have to do, and it's quite intensive. And so our partnership with the Ashbury Center really had an intensive focus in the digital equity and inclusion space, which evolved out of a response of COVID-19. And the DAP program it was called the Digital Aviator Program, DAP, because we were teaching seniors to become the pilot of their own lives. And so we were like, take flight and this and that. And so now we have transcended to the digital adoption program, because now it's about adoption, not just learning and gathering access, but really embracing it so that you can make a positive change in your lives. So we're really excited about that continued collaboration and are fully vested into the digital equity and inclusion space. I'm excited. You'll learn some more about the DAP program later, as one of my amazing scholars is joining us today. And as I continue, I just had just a couple of remarks that I just want to say on behalf of ASC3 and all of the partners that are involved in the Digital Diversity Dialogue Part 2. We did Part 1 last April, where it was really just the thought leaders. But then this time we have evolved, because it's so important to hear from the actual constituents who have been impacted by a variety of DEI services, because the need is there and we must continue. So our conversation today is much more than technology. Is really about people. It's access and opportunity and equity. At ASC3, we've seen how firsthand how digital inclusion efforts change lives. We want you to see the result of some of that intense work. When someone learns to use a device, they see their email come in on the screen for the first time, like, there's my email. That is amazing progress. Or they schedule a telehealth visit. These things open doors for independence, competence, and better health. So digital inclusion really now is recognized as a super social determinant of health, no longer a luxury, but definitely a necessity. And through our many partners, we've been able to create some amazing outcomes throughout the ASC3. You'll hear about some stories that really have impacted. We want people to be able to share these stories, connect with legislatures, and learn, so they can learn more about the intense need. And like we say, show us the money, because we need to continue these amazing programs to help bridge the gap in the digital divide. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Wanda Davis.
Thank you very much, Shalita. And with that, we first would like to acknowledge a couple of people, and we have our own Yvonne Conwell from Cuyahoga County Councilwoman. All those 3 C's was kind of hard to come out. District 7. And we have Anna Miller, Manager, Digital Equity and Inclusion Office of Broadband, Ohio, all the way from Columbus, joining us. Anna, raise your hand. So we want to thank them for taking time out of their schedule to be with us here today for Digital Inclusion Week and for this D3 event, Digital Diversity Dialogue. That's what we're going to have. We're going to have a great dialogue here. And to start us off and open us up, open the meeting up, open the conversation up, we're going to have one of my esteemed friends and a digital inclusion practitioner, CEO or director, and now National Digital Inclusion Alliance Director, Angela Siever. She's coming to us with years and years. I think together we may have 60 years of experience. And she's going to share about digital inclusion, what it is, and she has some good information, maybe to help us start our first steps in a upward direction. Angela.
Thank you, Ms. Wanda. Happy Digital Inclusion Week. I was in Cincinnati yesterday, came from the event in Columbus. This is definitely the most raucous crowd so far. So kudos to Cleveland, right? I was also in Belgium last week. I was invited to speak there, and they have some funding, and that funding for digital inclusion is wrapping up. And I asked them, so what's your next step? Like how do you handle the fact the money is running out? And they literally were like, man. I was like, really? Wanda would never go for that. You all, like being here together, that's one of the steps. They are not gathering people together, forming these coalitions, the ecosystems. They're not talking to each other. I literally had to say, I recommend by the end of the day you swap phone numbers with somebody, because that's where they were at with this. So so many of you know each other. Right, like that's different here. So you have a step, you are in a place where you can figure out how to make this keep moving forward, despite the federal money situation that we've had. So kudos. Just really wanted to celebrate all that is Cleveland and all that you have done. And I should also note that my very first slide for my presentation in Belgium, did anyone guess whose face it was? Wanda is literally like the person I'm like, okay, let me explain digital inclusion in the United States to you. I'm going to tell you about Wanda. And that's how I explain to people what digital inclusion programming is like here in the States is Wanda. So you all are very fortunate to have her. The other piece of this, like how we figure out money type situation, is the data gathering. It's the impacts, right? So we have to gather the data, we have to tell the stories, and we have to be doing it collaboratively. I will also share with you that because the Digital Equity Act was canceled, NDIA, we had one of the competitive grants. So we were in a situation where we could file a legal complaint against the Trump administration, and we did that about midnight last night. We are asking to have the Digital Equity Act competitive grant program reinstated. So it's not just about NDIA's grant funding that we want returned, it's that we want the whole program returned, because the work that you all do is really, really essential. Okay, I'm really thank you all for being here, and I'm super excited to listen to all the amazing speakers that Ashbury has lined up for us. I'm going to turn it back over to Wanda.
Thank you, Angela. We could listen to her some more, right? Let's talk about where we're going. We're going to go on and get started with our panels. And I am up next for the first panel. This is panel one, and we're asking the panelists, Troy Dillard, Digital Navigator for East Cleveland Public Library, Bartholomew Gonzalez. Did I make it Bart? I did. CEO, yes, I always call him Bart. CEO, Techni, NPO, and from Lorain County. So that is the partnership that we had with Bart for 20 years now, going back to all the way back 20 years ago with our Connect Your Community grant under the direction of Bill Callahan and the collaboration of Lorain County, and Bart will talk a little bit more about that. But he's been around a long time and doing classes and actually building machines and giving out machines. And so we appreciate Bart for joining us today. And so with those two, we're going to get started. We also have Lena Small. Lena Small. I'm going to have her come up. She's one of our community seniors. She's one of our, she actually is in our classes now, and I think you're in Teresa's class. Yeah, Teresa, raise your hand, our instructor, digital navigator. And then we have Thea Duckett, community senior and advocate. All right, very, very good. And she's in our classes also. Who's your instructor?
LaDonna Norris.
LaDonna. There you are. LaDonna Norris. LaDonna is with Digital C. You see me try to claim her as one of mine. You know, that's what I do. I claim all of them. No, those are all our students. This is the digital inclusion panel, and we will be asking them a question, and of course we hope for good answers. But before we do that, we'll ask each of them to give their name and where they're from. Just say a 1-minute talk about who you are, but 1 minute or less, okay? The mic should be on.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Hi. My name is Bartholomew Gonzalez, but you can just call me Bart. I am older than the Simpsons, just throwing that out there. So, I already want to put that out there right now. Very lovely. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I was part of the original team, but I am an exact byproduct of what we are here for. I started out as an individual teaching what I didn't know. And during the repetition of teaching other people who didn't know, you learn. And so I'm still here, and as a byproduct, I have my own business now. I just started my own nonprofit to be able to take this. For me, it's never stopped. We were teaching, and then the funding ran out the first time. And what do? And we found a way to keep it going for another 2 to 3 years. And then after that, I went back to a full-time job. But I'm getting emails after emails, running into people in the grocery store. You can't stop. And so next thing I know, I'm in a library at 8 o'clock, or as long as they're open, in the class doing free classes by myself with 20 to 25 people. And from there, I just started my own business, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay, how you doing, everybody? My name is Troy Diller. I am a digital navigator at East Cleveland Public Library. So I'm in there with the people of the city every single day, or every time we open, teaching classes, helping with devices, making sure I'm talking to the internet providers to not only get access, but affordable access. So I like to agree with him on, having the students there. It kind of builds your skill set, because I thought I knew technology until I'm getting asked questions. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't know everything, but I've just been learning and growing in this space, and working with people in this room and people all over to provide the best education that our students can receive. So.
And our singer, just introduce yourself and, what it was you did before.
Okay, my name is Leanna Small, and my amazing teacher is Teresa. I'm at the Ashbury Center, and everyone up there is so helpful and friendly, and we're nothing but a family at Ashbury. So for seniors who are looking for something to do, come to Ashbury Center.
My name is Thea Duckett, and I attend classes at Digital C. LaDonna Norris is my teacher. And I want to say that I was happy to get that phone call the day she called me and asked me that I want to come to class. And I had stopped working, and I wasn't doing anything. And she says, well, you want to come to computer class? And I signed up at they had an outdoor event over at Lexington Hughes. So I told her, okay, I'll come to class. And from then on, I've been to just about every class. And I talked to my neighbors. I've sent several people to class. And I've got a list now that I've sent her of people that need to come to class. Because people don't have computers. And people are not able to receive their emails. And it's so important that we start to get ourselves interested in the digital era, because even SSA.gov, who knows what that is? That's so sensitive. They want us all to be online, okay? And Medicare, they too want us to be online. So that's why I'm so interested.
All right. This is going to our couple of experts sitting up there that's been learned a lot and continue to learn while we assist our seniors. What does digital inclusion mean to you? Troy?
Okay, so digital inclusion means to me is not leaving anyone behind. You know, being in the forefront and getting people every day who they may have got a free phone but don't know how to use it.
That's right.
Or like she said, Social Security, moving everything online and you don't even know how to work an email. Being there to bridge that gap of, okay, this is how the world is moving, and you are one of the people who can help everybody stay within the current time. That's what it means to me. Being together, bridging that gap, making sure that I'm doing my part, not only just teaching classes, but making sure that they understand it, making sure that they're grasping the information, and when they leave me, they're not just confused and I just shoved a bunch of terminology down and let them go out the door, and then they still don't have a place in the world.
No one's.
Digital inclusion is very important, and I never knew how important it was until I get people who come in. So being there and being that patient person, because it's not just about teaching them, being patient with them. I got a lot of my students like, well, I tried to ask my daughter, but my daughter, she gets so irritated. She gets so frustrated, I can't go to her.
How many of us have that? Raise your hand.
So being there, being that support for whatever people need is what it means to me, bridging that together.
Right, would you like to add to that,
You said it all.
That was really good.
I wrote stuff down, but that was what it was. It's just meeting people where they are. We want to give everybody an opportunity. We're over here sitting down on these chairs, but we were there. And the opportunity that you could be here in less than a year from now, all you have to do is be the person that wants to be one step ahead of the person behind you. And so digital equity, digital literacy will give you that opportunity. We're only an example of what I see out in front of us. We're here because we want you to be the one up here speaking on behalf of us. That's the success story we need. And if we have more of those, if you can take one thing you learned and you can use that and just capitalize on it, I was like, that makes my heart sing. I know it's going to make your heart sing. Everybody on these front tables, that's the purpose. And so if you succeed, we succeed. And so digital, that's in a nutshell.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Bart. Just a couple follow-ups with you. Now, understanding what digital inclusion means, what training and resources are needed to ensure communities are able to meet the definition of being digitally literate and prepared?
We'll take turns. All right. Exactly what you were doing. Being available to help you when you need it. Let's be honest. Technically, you don't need us. Because if you go on the World Wide Web, how many of you know you can take an online college course for free right now? You go to the library and go to Hoopla. There's all the information's there. But why don't we do it? Because we're scared. What if I do something I don't know how to do? Having a navigator, having somebody who can walk alongside you. If I had a mentor who can walk with me, what's going to stop me? What's going to stop you? And so, does that help? Is that a good answer? That was a long question. So.
That's a good answer. Yeah, we're just looking for what your thoughts are. Because, all of us have different thoughts when we talk about these issues, and so we're getting different perspectives, so thank you.
That's true, and I would definitely have to say affordability and internet access. I mean, a lot of you know when ACP dismantled or left, it was a worldwide, everybody went into like a frenzy and a panic. I had people coming up to the library like, hey, what's going on, man? I got a bill, what's going on? I was able to get XYZ done with that money instead of going to that internet, to my internet provider. I was able to utilize that in other areas. So looking at spaces like that or like the devices, okay, yeah, you may come to computer class, and we have computers there, and I know a lot of seniors, ASC3 has devices there, but when you get home, if you don't have a device, how are you going to practice? How are you going to make sure that you're retaining the information, that you know the information, that you can use this information if you don't have a device? Or maybe you have one of the little free phones, and we know if you've seen them, they provide you with access, but they're not the best user friendly, right? So getting devices that you can use and it's not going through trouble, and you sitting there thinking, oh, maybe it's just me and technology, but really it's the device you got. Maybe we can help in that space as well. So that's why I see a lot within my eyes. It's like, okay, well, yes, I'm providing the digital literacy, but what about the devices? What about them being able to get on the internet, browse at an affordable rate, with decent service, with great service, you know? Not just hear internet and then you crash it and it's slow, or it's making you more frustrated having it, you know? So spaces like that.
Excellent.
If I remember right, Angela, the first time I heard this was a three-legged table. I was like, right? A three-headed stool. My bad. Table sounded cool. You gotta have internet, you gotta have a device, and you gotta know what to do with it. And if you take a leg away, what do you have? Oh, and then you try to sit on it, what's gonna happen? You're not gonna stay up. And so it's still in me. I was like, because if you can't truly have one without the other, but being able to utilize them and being able to know when to have it and when not to. I remember when ACD finished, and I was running around, and I think it was Windstream. Windstream came out, and we convinced them as a city, and with the mayor on board, if we transfer anybody from who they have to you to give you permission to come in, you got to give them at least a low cost to free internet for a duration. And anybody who came in, they honored the ACP for a year. And so we were able to extend that a little bit, but that's not everybody's situation. And so being able to have those conversations as a group, we're more powerful together. I was like, and when they saw that it was the city, it was organizations, individuals, and then the community got together, that company said it was in their best interest to say, you know what, let's do this, let's honor this, even though we know we're not going to make money from getting the money from the government. They did it on their own. And so,
Ms. Davis, as a senior, I think it's very important because the class that I went through, we had to take some classes on fraud and different things like that. There were 4 classes that were offered, and we had to take at least 3 of them. After we completed those 3 classes, we received a free refurbished laptop, and we also got $20 off a month for 12 months on our internet. So if we don't use these programs, you guys, we're going to lose them. That's right. So we have to use them, especially us as seniors.
Yeah, thank you, Lena. And I was just ready to follow up with you two. And my questions to both of you. You've been in training. You have your internet connectivity. And just tell us a little bit about what you couldn't do before, and now that you've had some training, what you feel strong about what you can do now. Is it your telehealth? Is it banking online? I know some of us may not never bank online, but we know about it. You know, just and share that with us.
Well, really, when I really first started off, I really didn't even know how to turn the computer on. Okay, now I know how to turn the computer on. I have assigned myself as the assistant in my class. When Miss Teresa is busy and people be calling her, I'm like, Miss Teresa, I got that. And I'm like, I hope it's an easy question to answer. Since then, I've been able to go on my chart. When I go to the doctor, I don't have to wait for my doctors to call me back for test results. I can make appointments online. I go on and check my bank account online. And there's so many things that we can do. You know, check your bank account, send out emails. My kids laughed at me. I'm like, you guys, I could do a group text. And they're like, Ma, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. That was very important. I work in the church, And I'm the general superintendent of our Sunday school. So when I have meetings, guess what, y'all? I send group text.
Excellent. Thea?
The main thing for me was my computer, my old computer, saw its day. I was pretty computer savvy, but I wasn't working at the time, and I really needed a computer. And when I got the call about coming to class and then I would receive a free computer, I was so excited. And I knew so many other people who just didn't have computers, who were not computer literate at all. And everybody that I knew, I would call them up and tell them, especially if you lived in Cleveland, I would call them up and I would talk to them and tell them about the program, how to sign up, or is it okay if I give LaDonna your phone number, so on and so forth. And my brother-in-law, he was one of them, and he was like, I don't know. I said, well, you come to class for the weeks, and they're going to give you a new computer. And he told me he didn't know, so on and so forth. So about a month later, I called him again. And this time he said, okay, yes. And he came to class, and I'm going to tell you that my sister asked him on a Monday to take her somewhere on a Tuesday, that next Tuesday. And he told her, oh no, because my class is going to be He says, I am not going to miss my class. So my sister called me and she said, I got to go to that class because something's going on. And I'm not going to miss the class. So my neighbor next door to me, he came to class and he had 99,000 questions. And I thought, oh Jesus, LaDonna told me. And another friend of mine, she was at the class and she says, man, she said he has a lot of questions. And I said, well, maybe I should have told him. He's loving it. He's loving it. He loves the fact that he came to class. He loves the fact that he has his own computer. And there are so many people who are divided because they don't have, like you said, they don't have a device. And to get a device in your hand and know that, you know, if the phone call comes through. In my old job, I used to talk to people about the My Chart. I used to talk to people about, when I called them, someone would say, wait a minute, let me get to my computer. Because I know you're going to ask me to do something. And those that didn't have computers, you know, you would have to do a couple of calls because they would tell you, oh, you got to call my daughter or my son, because I can't do that. So this is how we close the gap from having to, especially when it comes to our health, from having to wait for the son or the daughter to be available to answer the questions that need to be answered in order to take care of the patients.
And Ms. Davis, I want to say, everybody loves free and the classes are free.
We're going to wrap up my session. You know, I hate to because that's my pet peeve, the digital inclusion piece. But didn't they do a great job for us? And Shalita is coming up next with our next group.
All right, panel number 2. We've got a hard act to follow, so I hope you all are prepared. I am so excited to hear about these amazing stories of the impact of digital inclusion. It just warms our heart. It's just warm and fuzzy feelings all over. What we're going to do now is transcend the conversation just a little bit, not just the personal impact upon individuals and community residents. But let's talk about some of the more systemic processes and how those impact and what we need to focus on. And then we will still have some of that personalized impact as well. So as I begin the panel 2, I am going to call up each of my panelists. I'm going to ask that you come and take a seat. I'd first like to bring up Ms. Marilee Santiago Rodriguez. She's the Director of Education and Training Opportunity Centers with Metro Health. Kind of like her tag team or sidekick, I'd like to welcome Shartina Caver, a digital navigator. You see the importance of these digital navigators. They work in a variety of capacities, also Metro Health. Third, I'd like to bring up Miss Melriana Ferguson. She is, I'm going to claim her Cleveland State University CRI-AHEC Scholar, and she also is working on her second master's and is an aspiring physician. She's going to talk to you a little bit more about that. For our senior impact, please welcome Ms. Anita Vaughn, community senior and advocate. And lastly, for this segment, John Tonio Hector, another community senior and advocate of digital equity and inclusion. While we're welcoming our last panelist, I'd just like to go on and start to my immediate left, your right. Please introduce yourself, talk to us a little bit about you and your work, and within that 1 minute time frame if you're capable. I'd like to go on and welcome Ms. Mary Lee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mary Lee Santiago Rodriguez, and I am the Director of Education and Training with Metro Health Institute for Hope. The work that we focus on is around addressing the social determinants of health. Think about the 80% that goes beyond the hospital system, right? Access to food, access to internet, right? Those are the interventions that we focus on, and I oversee opportunity centers at Metro Health, where it's essentially a social service agency within a hospital. We want to make sure that our patients have access not only to primary care, pharmacy, but also to social health related needs, right? So we have programs, we partner. Our work doesn't, we're not the experts of it, so we highly rely on our partnerships, like Digital C or as well as like CHN Partners. We have Job and Family Services, and we're located out of the Buckeye Health Center location. So that is the work that we do, and I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shartina. I am the Digital Navigator over at Metro Health. For me, my goal is to make sure everyone has a chance to be able to grow, learn, and connect with technology no matter their age, background, or income. A lot of people come into the Opportunity Center almost embarrassed about not knowing too much about technology, so I try to make an environment where they feel comfortable to learn. And that's pretty much what I do.
Super.
Hi everyone, my name is Melriana Ferguson. I graduated with my master's in medical physiology from Case Western School of Medicine in May, and I'm back at Case Western School of Medicine getting my second master's in aerospace physiology. I am going to complete that master's and then go on to their School of Medicine to get my medical degree.
You go, girl!
But I am a CRI-AHEC Scholar through Cleveland State and Neomed with Ms. Shalita, and what we do is a digital adoption program, and we help the seniors, close the digital divide with the hospitals and everything so that they can learn how to use their phones, how they got so excited on sending emails and everything like that. And so they can learn how to use MyChart. And so they can know how to upload their documents and learn how to check their labs, learn how to send messages to their doctors, because they may not know how to do that. So we're here to help them in the community so that they can have an advocate, and because they might not have that, like Tony might have said, their daughters might get irritated with them. Because I know I get irritated with my parents sometimes.
Thank you.
very shy because I did not know a great deal about computer access. And that might seem very strange from a retired registered nurse. And I have been in school, I have 2 degrees. But in my practice area, I was using a different application. I was not in Microsoft much. And also, there wasn't a great deal of emailing. So that's a new opportunity for me as well. I can say that Ashbury Community Center is a very friendly, warm environment for learning. And these things are important, not just for seniors, but for everyone. You have to have comfortability. You have to know that you're not pressured under learning.
Yes.
You have to know that you have a community. And that's what we have at Ashbury. We have a community. And learning and digitalization is going to be ongoing. It's not a one-time fix. It is ongoing, and it's ever evolving every day. So, yes, I'm hearing a lot about my chart and UH my chart as well as CCF my chart. It's also important to know how to access medical issues online. Not internet ready, but evidence-based ready. And these are the things that are important for your parent because you are your biggest advocate for your parent.
Good afternoon. My name is John Antonio Hector, and my profession, I am a medical delivery carrier. I joined the digital ASC3, I can't remember how many years now, about 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm glad I could join because it's difficult to navigate on the computer if you really don't know some of the simplest things that's mundane to someone that knows how to operate a computer. Open an email, sending the email, recognizing how to navigate in editing an email if you need to change something on that particular email. So the classes are phenomenal. And I'm what I call myself a repeat offender. I graduate and I come back again. He said, you signing up again? I'm signing up again. But guys, I've learned a lot and I'm still learning. And there's situations on the computer where you may not be exactly familiar with that particular area, but because of the classes, I'm able now to figure it out. Okay, I can do this, I can do that. I'm a travel guy, I love to travel. This is October, yes. This time last year, I was able to book my trip to Phuket, Thailand. Stayed over there 2 weeks, but it was a beautiful thing just to go in the computer and navigate through it. I wasn't nervous, I didn't have any worries. I didn't mess up anything because the flights and everything, you had to really book and know what you're doing. But thank God for ASC3, am I saying it right?
Yes.
And the classes and the teachings. Different instructors may teach a little different, but each instructor is getting you to the point where you need to be. For an example, sometimes we have a class, I'm on the side of class, 11 o'clock, right, Dina? Shout out to you guys, Teresa. Right, for sure. For example, sometimes we will talk through a situation. How would you work your way through this? And for me, that helps me a lot because when you talk it through, that means it's here. You have it in your head. You can do it on the computer, that's one thing. But when you can repeat it and talk about how you would get through, then it means, to me, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, that means it's sticking, it's staying home. But thank you for allowing me to share. Back to you.
Out of curiosity, where did your technology journey begin, and who was your very first computer instructor?
My very first computer instructor, yours truly over here. She was, and one quick story, I gotta tell you this quick story. That I started out on the 93rd station over here, right? I went to
Fairfax Connection.
Right, Fairfax. I graduated, and one day, like I said, I'm a courier. I was doing lottery. way out Mayfield somewhere. I'm motoring, trying to get to class. I know I'm gonna be late, but I gotta work too. So I'm running. I don't know where the police came from. Said he just dropped out of the sky, right? He pulls up, he pulled me over. I said, oh my God. He said, what's the hurry, young man? I said, listen, I gotta go to school. I got 2 more packages to deliver. I deliver lottery, and I gotta go all the way down to Cleveland. And believe me, guys, he gave me a break. He said, okay, slow it down, but get to school. You need to get to computer school. I said, yeah.
Thank you for sharing and being a good sport. Thank you all for your introductions. You've almost captured the content of our panel this afternoon. But as we continue to move forward, these first questions are directed to our experts of mental health. Tell me about the ways mental health patients use digital technology and what the health system does to help people use the technology, whether it's screenings, referrals, trainings, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Metro Health, we use a multi-pronged approach. And what that approach is essentially supporting our patients through technology, especially through the healthcare delivery system. Whether if it's screening our patients, we started doing that in 2020. We acknowledged, or we understood early on the importance of digital access, or asking those questions to our patients, and understanding that it is a super determinant of health. So within our social determinants of health screening, we're able to get the answer from our patients, whether or not if they have access to internet, if they need digital literacy, or if they need a device. And with that question too is, do you need help, right? So it's not necessarily what the barriers are, but what is it that meeting our patients where they are. We've also done mail campaigns because we understand that not all of our patients, just are at the hospital all the time. So we have reached out to our patients that method and asking them the questions around, do you need help with access to internet? We're recently doing a text campaign and asking our connecting our patients to our digital navigator, Shartina. And then lastly, we've conducted focus groups to better understand what are the digital barriers of our patients. And then lastly, as a health system as a whole, there are programs that are embedded within our system to support from telehealth appointments, as well as Senior Spride program, which is a specific program for our seniors. We have a red carpet care program that is designated for patients who may have intensive chronic conditions that need that added support. So they receive that support through video visits, as well as remote monitoring equipment. So think about glucose meters that you can manage. You can see what your diabetes or your A1C levels are through an app. So doctors are able to read that information from their office, regardless if you're at home, right? So it allows us to leverage that technology, but it's important for our patients to know how to utilize those tools, and that's where the work of what Shartina is capable of doing.
Thank you so much, Marilee. You've mentioned some amazing program opportunities available through Metro Health. I am glad to see that systemically one of our 3 bigs is getting it and really adopting digital equity and inclusion. I'd like to follow up and ask you, without revealing any medical information, can you tell us about a senior for whom your digital inclusion efforts have made a difference?
So I'll give one quick example, but we have Shartina here who has a story that she can share too. But one example is we screen our patients, as I mentioned, for social determinants of health within the inpatient setting. So while you're hospitalized, we have a nurse that will ask you, do you have enough food at home? Do you have access to transportation? And again, the question around, do you have access to internet? Well, we were able, through the questionnaire, we were able to identify that while the patient was admitted to the hospital, that he was being at risk of being evicted. Because the landlord had switched to online payment only, and he had the money, he just didn't know how to do it. So we were able to quickly identify that gap, and through the social worker who was working with this patient, and help maintain his housing by making sure that he was able to get his online payments done.
And that is a serious, serious issue. In many of our public housing dwellings also moving to those methods. And so digital inclusion, at its best. Shartina, what has been some of your impact in working with a senior in your space?
Yes, I had a senior. She was actually a referral from one of our financial coaches, but she was facing a barrier in which she needed home repairs. And he had trees in her backyard that was not only affecting her roof, but her neighbors. They were threatening to take legally against her. So she and her insurance would not help her out. So she came in and wanted to start a GoFundMe, which she had never used the internet before ever. She had a up-to-date phone, an iPhone, but she was only able to send texts and call out. No knowledge of internet at all. So it kind of took a couple sessions, but we ended up making her a GoFundMe. So from setting the goal to making a description, from there we had to find out a way to promote her. So we had decided that we were going to make her a Facebook. So we made her a Facebook to be able to promote her link and connect with her friends, so it was able to reach multiple people. About 2 weeks later, she had ended up raising $900 towards her home repairs. And so we took it a step further. She didn't want to use Facebook for a social matter, but more so for business. So we ended up getting connected with Facebook Marketplace. She had a lot of different furniture at her home that she wanted to sell, get rid of. So we ended up making posts about that. From that, over the weekend, she ended up selling about 3 things, I think a dresser and 2 nightstands, but it raised her over an additional $300. We had to learn how to use Cash App, Venmo, and online banking, because a lot of the time they were not comfortable with bringing cash to her. So, yeah, just all around showing her skills and doing that. And now she uses it on her own, so she comes in twice a week to just update me, like, hey, I just added this on there, and I just sold it for this much. Do you think that was, we just conversate, and she just comes in and she keeps me updated. And it was really a boost to her confidence, being able to use it.
Wow. All right, that was amazing. Yeah, visual navigation at its best. I have a very important follow-up question for you, Shartina. Can you help me do a GoFundMe? I could use some money. No, that is amazing work. Congratulations on being able to be extremely impactful in her life. We're going to move on to Mariana, who is our aspiring physician. Mariana, I'm going to read a question/statement. I want you to think about that. You've heard Metro Health talk about social determinants of health quite a bit, which is like one of our major core topics as an AHEC scholar. Think about access, equity, your SDOHs. From your perspective as a future healthcare provider, how do social determinants of health like income, education, access to broadband, that part of that 4-legged stool. Actually, we've evolved to a 4-legged stool now. I just wanted to let you know that. We include digital literacy skills as that other leg, and tech support is the other one. So I would like to know if you can encompass like your passion, and then you can even access some of your other areas in terms of the impact of digital equity, DAP, SDOH. Okay. Your prepared remarks are sufficient. I want to throw you off. I just kind of do that.
I think the healthcare system kind of forgets that it's not a one-size-fits-all. You have to meet the patient where they are. Not everybody knows how to navigate the system. You know, so you get a patient with a device that they don't know how to use. You tell the patient, oh, just check your My Chart. Well, the patient doesn't know how. First you need to ask them, do you have internet? And if the patient looks at you, well, what is the internet? Then you have an issue. So, I mean, really, guys, we're in the age now, you're dealing with baby boomers who grew up without internet access, without technology, they only had flip phones. If that, they had to use minutes. I mean, I'm learning about minutes, I'm 24 years old. But when you think about social determinants of health, you have to think about meeting the patient where they are. You have to think about what resources can we use to help the patient get the health where they need to be. Can I help them get the internet access they need? Can we go to the library? Can we get them on the internet with that? Can we go to McDonald's? You know, just somewhere where we can get them the internet access that they need. But with the My Chart and everything, you know, we just need to see how can we navigate that? How can we get on? Because I'll give you an example. I had my aunt this summer. Now, she might be 45, but her brain is at senior citizen line. And she's probably hearing me right now, and she's going to get me for it later, but that's okay. But no, really, guys, she went into a coma this summer, and then she had a seizure, and then a liver transplant. But the doctor sent her home with all this medical knowledge, and she didn't know what was what. She didn't know how to do it. Everything's online. And they're just like, well, go home and do it. Why would you do that? You need these community healthcare workers to sit down with you, with patient advocates, you need social workers, because the doctors aren't going to do it. They don't have time. They do, but they don't. So you need that.
Yes, you do, yeah.
So I hope that.
Yes, very much so. And I thank you for sharing that, even your personal story with your, I know you were instrumental in her healthcare journey. I'm going to go to our last two senior experts and then just give you an opportunity to share something of value, your thoughts on the importance of keeping digital equity programs like these and how important it is for legislatures and funders to hear these messages. You have about 30 seconds or so, please.
I think that it's very important to get it out to the legislative bodies and the governmental bodies because they're not on the forefront of care. I was on the forefront of care. All the things that we're talking about here are tertiary cares, and the cares broke down to acute level, current level, and tertiary. Tertiary care covers after the patient leaves the health center. It also covers what's in their community as well. It also covers digital access. You can have a beautiful platform, a beautiful portal of My Chart, and all the things that it does. But if you cannot access it, if you cannot navigate it, then it's no good.
Exactly.
And even though I am no longer in practice, I take what I've learned and I continue to learn and research and just to be that other person to a family member who may not know, or a church member, or a community member. And it is so vital. This is where networking and each one teach one comes in.
Yeah.
So this is ongoing. This, I can't say anymore. And I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of that community.
Thank you. New meetings and Dr.
Yes, and I think this part about the digital program, especially for not just the seniors, but for our youth as well, is very, very important because we get older, and as we can see, technology continues to advance and evolve into higher levels, so to speak. Therefore, if you're a senior, for example, if you know how to recognize the phishings or the scams, something as simple as knowing that the padlock that is locked in the corner left, right, or a email or something of that nature, knowing what that means is a big deal, because if you don't know, you can lose your retirement, your Social Security, all kind of ways that people sit up all day that are well advanced in technology to find ways to take what little or much that you may have. So the programs are phenomenal, and it's something that I'm happy, grateful, very grateful that's in effect. I think we should, hopefully and prayerfully, it's something that continues to grow and continues to go forward. Because again, every year, all of us, you're getting a little older. I'm 66 years young, so I need it, and I'm grateful, and I hope and pray that they continue the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's give a round of applause for our healthcare and legal outcomes panel. We thank you so much for lending us your expertise in your own capacity, and we appreciate your efforts.
Let's give them another round of applause. That healthcare, I mean, that area is something, you know, it takes a lot. And I just want to say a good congratulations to our youngster there, Shartina. What a great job she did. She was so nervous, and she knocked it out of the park. Yeah. So our next group, I can get it together. Where are they? I have too many pieces of paper up here. Number 3, DEI, Advocates and Leaders. Thank you. I get myself lost. Okay, and the panelists, we're going to have them come up. Our good friend Daniel Wilberson, Executive Director with PNC Fairfax Connection. LaDonna Norris, Director, Community Outreach and Education, Digital C. Tiffany Taylor, Director, Housing and Finance, Wellness, Benjamin Rose. And Ricardo Reynoso, Digital Adoption Manager, City of Cleveland. And even though I've named them in their titles, I'm going to ask each one of them to, again, just repeat who they are and what they do.
So good afternoon, everyone. If you don't know, I'm Daniel Roberson. I'm the Executive Director of the PNC Fairfax Connection. It is uniquely a unicorn for PNC. We are the only one across the nation that is a community resource center that is owned and operated by the bank, but it's not a branch. It's not a bank. You don't find any money other than an ATM, and maybe if I have 25 cents on me. But we offer nothing but free workshops and programs when it comes to technology, partnering with wonderful partners like ASC3, as well as Digital C, and across the board. And we also offer small business, career mobility, workforce development, and also financial education. So it's something that that makes us different, set us apart, that we make sure that we are truly an impact to the community.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm LaDonna Norris. I work for Digital C, just one block away, really. I'm the Director of Education and Community Outreach, and Digital C is an internet service provider, a nonprofit internet service provider, which feels like two words that don't go together. But we know it was needed in this community in order to make sure every resident had robust internet service. A unique part about Digital C is that they have a division of education. Most companies would never have that, but Digital C realizes that when you have not had internet available, that you do need some skilling and some training. And so my job is to make sure that we have access for that. I train all ages of learners, and I feel like I have the funnest job because I get to meet all types of great people and have to learn things myself to teach younger kids and make sure they know how to use all those tools as well. But thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tiffany Taylor. I work for Benjamin Rose. I am the Director of Housing and Financial Wellness Programs and Services. In my department, we work with people of all ages, but specifically older adults. We help older adults achieve housing and financial stability. We have a suite of housing services that we assist older adults, and again, people of all ages, with different housing needs, preventing foreclosure, rental counseling, and so forth and so on. And we also help, we work with our individuals as well for financial counseling needs, helping them improve their credit, helping them pull their credit report. We have a lot of clients come to us and they have no idea how to pull their credit report, what a credit report is, what it looks like. So we help our clients with that. We provide group education services as well, where we are teaching our clients in a group setting how to maintain this. And then we also have a computer class program called COST that is connecting our seniors to technology. That program was developed in March of 2021, and it's a digital literacy program. It was developed in the height of COVID, where we were realizing a lot of our clients had no access to digital literacy. They had no access to computers, technology, so we decided to partner up with Ashbury Community Center, ASC3, and Digital C to help our older adults in the community help bridge that digital divide. And it's been very successful, and we're just looking forward to growing that program. So we just, our goal is to just help clients in the community achieve digital literacy, financial stability, housing stability, whatever that looks like. Individually for our clients, we work one-on-one with clients, but again, like I said, we have group education workshops that we offer as well. So thank you for having me.
Excellent.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Reynoso. I'm the Digital Adoption Manager at the City of Cleveland. More or less, I am the point person on everything related to the digital divide. So working with community partners, ensuring that you get more affordable residential broadband options for Clevelanders, the digital skills training you need, the tech support, et cetera, everything that revolves around that. That's my job. I'm the first, actually, at the City of Cleveland in this capacity ever. So it's a blessing that the City of Cleveland finally is committed to this work. We're going to get there. I just want to remind everybody, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a journey when you get there one step at a time. And I'm just excited to be here on this panel. Thank you.
It is a great panel. And these are the people, the organizations that ASC3 partners with to continue to bring digital literacy and health literacy and financial literacy to all of you. This is one of the reasons why we exist, because of partnerships. And you can see through this cross-sector, they bring us the necessary tools in the event that sometimes monetary may not be what's needed. It may just be we need your space, you know? We need one of your instructors, you know? And so it's things like this, organizations like these that keep us afloat. So with that being said, I want to just ask you all, and what we know that a digitally literate community produces more economic value in general. Now, we do know that. This value benefits a number of cross-sector stakeholders, like all of us, from all over the place. Tell me more now how digital skill impacts your work area. And I'll start with Dan first. How do digital skills benefit the banking area?
That's a good question there. Let me say first though, I think there was a comment earlier said that, you know, how you have that parent that needs help And you know, you're be that type of person. I was that guy, irritated with my mama every single time. She literally got her a new smartphone. I got everything set up, had all the contacts on there for her. Saw her a day later. She deleted every single contact. I even put them on there. I was like, I don't even know how you did this. So, I'm just trying to dial you guys. So I definitely understand. But no, that's a really great question, because across the board, at least coming from a financial standpoint too, those digital literacy skills are transferable like easily in the workplace, right? When it comes to banking, that goes hand in hand with STEM, right? That goes hand in hand with technology. So having those skills really are the skills to pay the bills, right? To know how to utilize computers, to be able to go online. Obviously, having online banking is a resource too, and knowing how to advocate for that. And I was a branch manager for many years before I took over as the executive director of our community resource center. But I would see people often not know how to utilize. Again, my poor mama did not know how to utilize that. She was the type of person that, you know, if she was going to pay her bills, she had to go to the store. It was a whole day event. Go to the store, get your money orders. You go to the post office, go get your stamps. Then you come back and then you call your son Danny and say, hey, I need you to fill these bills out for me. So I knew that every Saturday. I'm like, okay, my Saturday is gone. That's all right, that's my mama, but we're going to be there all day. But then I said, well, you know, let me show you how to use online banking, right? And literally it got to the point where I was still helping her, but we were done like in 5-10 minutes, and I could actually spend time with her. We could actually go places, pay all the bills, and she's like, that's it. That's all it took. So that's really great from a personal standpoint, but also speaking professionally. If you have that skill and that ability to navigate, you know, the digital divide, and you're able to use those computers, those are skills that we look for coming from the bank. Those are skills that we often try to build on top of too as well. So just having a foundation, you don't have to be an expert. We don't ask you for that. We ask you to have that foundation. And that foundation is given all the time. I see it every single day that ASC3 is at the Fairfax Connection. Shalita does an amazing, amazing job. I've snuck in a couple classes in the back. I've seen LaDonna just be phenomenal, actually, where I'm like, let me take some notes. Like, I can see that, but building that foundation, or starting that foundation, we can build on top of that, right? And you can then use those skills to translate in different areas, professionally speaking and also personally, to answer your question.
You did. Wonderful. Wonderful. And we're just going to continue that conversation with you, LaDonna. And my question for you is, how important are digital skills for workforce development goals? How important? And the reason I thought of you for that question is because the expansion that Digital C is doing as a result of our digital inclusion projects that are going on now that you have with the city and various other organizations and even out of town. And that's building a workforce. And so when Digital C goes to look for individuals, how important is it, you know, to continue that build out?
No, thank you for that question. I think we all know just right off the bat, like it's imperative. You have to have some digital skills in order to get hired for any position. My first week at Digital C, and I've been there just over 3 years, a gentleman came in who he needed to find a part-time job. He was an older man, but he needed extra income, wanted to apply to be a crossing guard, and was angry because he couldn't just fill out an application. It was online, and just the frustration of that. That was my first week there. But digital skills, even when we're working with our introductory computer classes, we know that they're going to need to know how to use Microsoft Office, how to know the difference between Google Suite and Microsoft Office Suite. That's a given, and we try to make sure people have some basic understanding. But now, in interviews, that's just an assumption that they have those skills. In interviews now, it's how are you using AI to make yourself more efficient, to show productivity on your job? And that's a question you might not be prepared to answer. And so making sure, we've started teaching AI courses this year because it's not going anywhere. We need people to understand how to use it as a tool, to know the concerns and the, you know, there's negative sides to everything. Internet had negative aspects, but it's not going anywhere either. teacher told us that Google was going to be the death of intellect. And that we shouldn't do Google searches, we needed to know how to do research. And he was right, but Google is still around. So AI is the same. It's not going to go anywhere. We all need to know how to use it as a tool. And that is part of workforce now and us helping prepare people to do so. But I would say that an aspect of workforce that's coming up is also drones and just the community level, the high interest in drones that I had to educate myself, like I gotta learn how to do this, and to be able to teach it and help people get licenses, right? So we partnered with Dan over at PNC and had a class this summer, and the grandparents were coming and dropping off their grandkids to take the class and saying, can I stay and learn this? And that was that was our first intergenerational class. That was over 20 people, and that was more grandparents than grandkids who took that class and loved it and wanted to keep learning. And last night we had our second cohort, and there were more people over 55 than under 20 in that class. And as we go around and do introductions, why are you interested in learning this? Everyone was saying, I think this could be, you know, an extra stream of income for me. And they're right. But these are things I wasn't thinking about last year at this time. And now I'm like, okay, this is a new skill set that we legitimately can teach people so they feel confident. And it's just fun. So.
Excellent. And I know we're getting a little short on time, but we're going to move through these with Tiffany Taylor. And my question for you is, how do digital literate seniors help further aging in place? What goals and how can we help improve?
That's a really great question, Wanda. And that really is the sole point of our cost program. So what we do in that program is we are providing basic computer training to older adults. Older adults that have not, that they don't know how to, I think one of the panelists mentioned this earlier, they may not know how to turn on a computer. They don't know how to charge it. They don't know how to log onto the internet. Things that we might do every day, a lot of our clients have no idea how to do this. So what we do is we provide them with free training on how to, basic training, you know, how to operate a computer, how to charge it, how to turn it on, et cetera, et cetera. So we provide them with the training for several weeks, then we provide them with a free laptop. So you get the training, you have to have the computer, you gotta have a device to be able to operate, you know, so use the skills that you learned, right? So we provide them with the laptop. So now you got the computer skills, you have the device to use. Well, we're going to take a couple steps further than that. We're going to pay your internet. We're going to reduce your internet costs for a year. We want to put a little bit of money back into your budget, back into your pockets, right? So we want to provide you with internet subsidy for a year. We want to reduce your internet bill a little bit for you for 1 full year as well. And then we also teach our older adults how, now that you have the computer, you have the training, you're on the internet now, you're open to all types of, unfortunately, scams, frauds, etc. So we are financially educating our older adults how to be careful when you're safely navigating that internet. So I say all that to say, to me, older adults that have that digital literacy, aging in place is they're now able to use the computer. They have a computer now. They're able to get on the internet. They're able to attend their telehealth appointments. They're able to pay bills online, do online banking. They now have email addresses. A lot of clients come to us and they have no email address. They never had one, or they had one and it's been so long since they used it and it's no longer active, right? So now they have email accounts, they have email addresses. I heard that mentioned earlier from one other panelist. So now they can email family and friends back and forth. They can online shop, not too much shopping, but you know, they have the ability to do that. And then now they have the access to work from home. There's a lot of clients that attended our cost program. They are using the computers that they got from our program and they're working from home. They are working from home. They are back enrolled in school, taking online classes, right? So the sky is the limit. I can talk all day long about it, but to me, they now have the tools, they have the device, they have the resources to be able to navigate digitally safely, you know, when it comes to education, it comes to income, it comes to your health, paying your bills, banking, so forth and so on.
Excellent. Excellent. I think that was the best way to say I joined you all in the senior world, how we age in place. So excellent, excellent. And Ricardo, you're going to pull up the rear with us. And my question to you is, how does a digital literate public enable and create more engagement with local government? How do we engage when we are digitally literate?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent question. This day and age, government is increasingly online. As you all know very well, you don't have to actually attend any council meetings, any committee meetings, et cetera, in person. You can see Councilwoman Conwell and her husband online at their respective meetings. You can stay engaged that way. You're able to communicate with your leaders, different city departments to find out what's going on. A couple of years ago, we released an open data site, data.clevelandohio.gov, where people can find out all kinds of information about what's going on with, let's say, for example, the air quality to tree canopy. It's an opportunity for you to stay more engaged and finding out what the city is doing. It's also is a way to help keep us more accountable as a city. It's hard enough with public transportation as it is, and if you're fortunate enough to even have a vehicle to get down to City Hall to get these services done, right? And so increasingly we're moving all this stuff online, so your ability to be able to understand the tools online to use to figure out, like if you submitted a permit, or let's say if you're working for a nonprofit, you're trying to get funding, you can kind of track progress on these things online. And so this increasingly, there's two sides of the coin, right? Unfortunately, I feel sometimes we're moving a little bit too fast, and we can't lose sight of the importance of still working with people who aren't able to stay online. Yet that's our reality. Online it's here to stay, and so we need to, as a city, to do our part to make sure you're all be able to stay online affordably, to stay on top of what we're doing, to hold us accountable more. And when you guys are able to do that, that also makes sure that we can serve you better as leaders of the city.
Excellent, excellent. I think I told you this was a fantastic cross-sector group. We had banking, we had internet connectivity, workforce development, we had aging in place and social determinants of health, and then we had our government. And he brought in all aspects of the government, from the city, the county, the state, and even federal. So what do? We have all this information. One thing we know we need to do is vote, right? We got to make sure that all of the folks that represented up here that's assisting us, that they know that we are ready to vote. You have the tools. You have all the online tools they've talked about. You have the online classes they've talked about. Nearly every aspect of what we do is online. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Because this next group, and thank you very much for in with this panel. This next group is our call to action group. And I thank you all very much. I start speaking around.
Thank you. Another fantastic panel. We're excited now. We're rounding out the day. We'll go a few minutes over 3 o'clock. So for those who are able to stay just a few minutes, because this is the call to action. You've heard so many testimonials. Now what do we do? How do we keep this going? What impact can we have advocacy? Your voices, our solutions together. I'd like to begin to call up the members of our panel for number 4, call to action. Rose Zatello, Esquire, Executive Director, Westtown Community Development Corp. Jacqueline Adams, Social Services Supervisor, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga County. And Mr. Bill Callahan, Long-Term Digital Equity Leader, Connect Your Community Director. Rose, I'd like to start with you, if you can give your brief introduction, please.
Thank you. So I'm Rose Zatello. I'm Executive Director for Westtown Community Development Corporation. We're one of about 16 CDCs in the city of Cleveland, and we have a pretty strong voice because we represent the residents that live in the various neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland, and the city gives us money to do that. So one of our core services is keeping folks in their homes through various programs to, put a new roof on or a new hot water tank. And so we're very dependent on digital inclusion. We had the opportunity to move into a new building 2 years ago. Our first floor neighbor is ASC3, and Wanda and many of her staff people are here, and we love working with them because most of our seniors that we are trying to keep in their home are the baby boomer generation, not the really good digital skills. So it takes about 2 to 3 hours to work with one applicant to make sure they're getting all the programs that they need. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jackie.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I just want to say first and foremost, I've worked with Ms. Davis and Shanique for a very long time, so I'm the biggest fan of Asbury City Center. Anytime they call, I answer. So I'm Jacqueline Adams. I'm the social service supervisor at the Cuyahoga County Division of Senior and Adult Services. I just want to make a shameless plug that I have some folders that has information about all of our services at the Senior Center on my table. And so if you're interested in getting a packet, please feel free to come by and see me. But what I will say on the side of what I do every day, I work specifically with information services. And I tell people that I talk to that I make life and death decisions for seniors every day as it relates to utilities, keeping their home, rent, bed bugs, mortgages. I mean, food insecurity. Every day we have a intake center that the numbers increase yearly. And it's amazing to me that with that increase, there is so much of a need of help. It is a call to action. It really is. And so the other shameless plug is that there's 2 sides on my team in terms of staff. I have an adult benefits program specialist that services both of the Asbury Senior Computer Centers on the east and west side. So at any time, on specific days, you can go and meet with that specialist, and she will be able to service you. We do a lot around heat, and this is a big thing for us. The clientele that we have get 1 check a month, whether you retired or whether you're on Social Security disability. So the big thing for retirement is, how do I navigate 1 check when I've worked all my life? Whether you planned for it or you didn't plan for it, it's there. So how do I pay my bills? How do I do anything? And having the knowledge from computer literacy is very important. From the social disability, the Social Security disability side, it's the same situation. You're dealing with limited funds, and so how do you maneuver through that? And that's what we do. So when you walk through our doors, we want to sustain you, that when you walk through DSAS, you leave in a better position. And this is why we're very vested with what Asbury does every day, because we know the importance of them having to pay online utilities, or mortgage, or rent, or whatever it looks like that they need to do. But the other big thing that I see so much of is the cable bill. The cable bills are astronomical what people pay. It's astronomical. And so I talk to them, we have to figure out how do we get those bills down where it's not necessarily all this cable, it's just having the internet, the basic, so that you can do what you need to do in your household. Because as much as we want people to come out, there is still a COVID situation where people stay in. Isolation is huge. So I could go on and on. I'm sorry.
You exude passion. For sure. Bill?
How we tell each other who we are. My name is Bill Callahan. I actually drove in here. I think next to Angela, I'm the furthest away person in the room. I drove in here from the far reaches of Ashtabula County this morning, which is where I live now. I work for, or work with, because there's no paycheck involved, an organization called Connect Your Community, which is this strange little animal that we started when the federal money ran out in the first round of federal funding back in 2013. Bart was making his way, we were making ours. And we, as a group of people, including Wanda, and including Samantha Sharpen, who's sitting there, a couple of other folks, people from Metro Health and other places, who had some experience doing digital inclusion work and wanted to make sure that experience was available to people in the community who were trying to figure out how to get it in their own neighborhoods. And we knew from experience that that meant it had to be cheap, if not free, right? And so while all of us have had other kinds of jobs and other work to do over the last 12 years, we've kind of maintained CYC as a center of people who are just available to help get things started, right? And hopefully without any money involved, right? And so we helped start National Digital Inclusion Alliance, right? We've done various projects with Ashbury over the last few years. Now that I'm out in Ashtabula County for reasons that I won't go into, we've started a program with our friends from the Oak Collaborative in the city of Ashtabula, and have now trained about 70 folks and gotten them computers.
Oh, fantastic.
Just imitating what Ashbury does, right? So, so that's who I am, and I'm basically on the panel to make a pitch to you, which I'm going to do in the second round.
Yes, thank you so much, Bill. This entire panel is a wealth of knowledge and experience and resources. So I'm excited to delve right into our call to action segment. I'll again begin with Rose. And Rose, thinking of scaling DEI, the value of digital equity for community members and clients. We talk about partnerships. It was mentioned earlier. None of this can be done without that. What partnerships are needed to explore co-investment in the long-term viability and success of community technology resources?
Okay, that's a big question.
Yeah.
Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think if people really want to know how serious an issue it is in the city of Cleveland about the digital divide, the Center for Community Solutions just came out with their demographics, and it's based on each ward in the city of Cleveland, and it is bad. I mean, in my particular service area, 28% of the households do not have access to home-based broadband.
Wow, that's still significant.
And that's pretty standard across the city, a little bit higher or lower, depending on the demographics. So I feel that, as a trade organization, we do have an umbrella group for all the CDCs, that we do need to do more around organizing and supporting better access to digital inclusion for all of the reasons today. Medical records, getting your utility bills paid, getting all the resources that you have given to you, but you don't have access to understand it. The city of Cleveland just went to recently went to an online portal for all their housing referral and repair programs.
Wow.
And that has left a lot of people in the dust. So, we need to think about how we are going to organize. I mean, we have an umbrella group of community development corporations, and we're having a serious discussion about that.
Oh, thank you. First of all, that's excellent in terms of those resources within the CDC community. You continue to be assets for the greater community at large. I'd like to go on and move to Jackie. How do digital skills for clients affect social services? And what is at stake for you in your work if critical programs like those offered by ASC3 or Digital C go away?
Well, we need, Ashbury and more Ashburys in our communities. I mean, like I said, when the clients come in, there are so many barriers that exist. And so if you don't have somewhere where people can go that's of like mind and feel comfortable in that space, it puts them at risk and it puts them in a precarious situation where they don't want to go. We make referrals. I mean, wraparound services is what we do. We have to be engaged with so many community partners because we have to be able to assess the client when they come in. Even though they may come in for a utility, even though they may come in for a rental assistance, there are so many layers that we have to address in that period of time. And they think that our team are long-term social workers, but that they're not. This is kind of hit and miss. And so it's so important to have the computer piece in because everything that we do now is wrapped around digital literacy, everything that we do. And regardless if they're not there, they have to be there. And we have to be able to really have a conversation because the clients that we interact with, many aren't feeling well, many have had medical challenges, and then many have been homeless. Many have had situations that they could or could not do anything about. But at the end of the day, at the core of it all, they still have to be able to maneuver day to day. Whether they get their check from Social Security digitally, okay? So you can't get paper checks now from Social Security. So that means you gotta have, you have to have a bank account. And then, look at what happened with the SNAP benefits and all of the scam around food stamps. So being able to have access to that and being able to go to centers like Ashbury Senior Computer Center or just having the basic technology, and then taking accountability. I just would love to see more people take accountability for wanting to learn. I think the greatest gift, because I've been doing this work, I call seniors my passion project. The greatest thing that I've learned from them is to keep moving, this is what they've said to me, and to keep learning. And that's the greatest gift I've learned from them, and I continue it in my work, and I share it with other people because, regardless of the age, because the criteria to come into our agency is 18 to 59, and then 60 and older. And so we see just as many barriers for those young people as we do for the older people, okay? So, but I know the importance of it. We cannot live without it, and we have to figure out how to maneuver with it.
Thank you very much. We cannot live without it. That's a common thing, for sure. And I'd like to turn this over now to Bill. Now, we've heard from Rose and Jackie on their different components, more social and then more housing, resources and partnerships. All of these are factors in keeping it moving, the DEI movement. Bill will expound on resources. What can we do? Legislation. Where's the money? I have to let Bill do it. Come on. Mr. Callahan.
Oh, we finally got to money.
Yes. So, but I will say, we know the need for digital skills will not extinguish. How do we stabilize the funding needed to maintain the community technology resources? Thank you.
First of all, let me just say, Angela Seifert at the beginning of this made what I think is an important point, particularly for those of us who know our peers in other rooms like this around the country, right? This city has spent basically 25 years building the relationships that are in the room, right? And gone through lots of stages. People have done through all kinds of different work and different kinds of projects. But in the end, people have stuck together, right? And continue to work together. And the consequence is that we can sit in this room and talk for the last hour and a half about all this work, and nobody has said, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do now there isn't any federal money. That is a remarkable fact, right? All over the country, that is what people are saying in this meeting. What are we going to do because there isn't any federal money? Nobody here is saying, oh, we've got to close up shop, right? That is a remarkable fact about the city of Cleveland. And it's something that, in some ways, we owe to our peers around the country to help people understand and build on how that's done. One of the reasons for that is that the city of Cleveland, through a lot of people's work, including some people who went out of office while other people came in, right? Because that happens all the time, have made it possible for the city to be supporting Digital C's work, right? Work at the Ashbury Center. That's really, really important, right? We have a manager of digital adoption in the city of Cleveland. Now, that's not unique, but it's really important, right? It took a while to make it happen.
Exactly.
We have a county that invests in digital inclusion. And we have a state that is actually, despite the fact that it is, known across the country as one of those red states, right? We have a state that has put money into Digital C's efforts and that has really worked pretty hard to tee up the ability to support digital inclusion across the state, right? We now have a state digital opportunity plan, right? Okay. And we have a Broadband Ohio office, which is actually quite committed to supporting this kind of work. The problem is that that office just lost $24 million out of money that would have supported that work, right? At the same time that across the country, we lost, how much was the total? Well, it was about $1 billion.
About $1 billion.
About $1 billion
With a B.
About competitive grant funds across the country that supposedly was committed and walked right up to the point of signing contracts and starting to spend money, right? And all of a sudden disappeared. Why did it disappear? It disappeared because it was a Truth Social post one night, right? And then everybody, downstairs from the president and the federal government the next day was writing out emails saying, sorry, you don't have that money anymore. Okay? You heard that NDIA, and this may have gone over your head or not, but you heard that NDIA just filed a suit to try to reverse
we heard that.
The impact on that.
That's worth giving another applause.
That is great. It is also not so great because that is the first organization that has filed that lawsuit about any of this money, right? So this is 5 months later, right? So this is all really important for the movement nationally, and it's also important for us locally, because even though we're not quite as dependent as luckily, right? We still are going to be hurt by this. More important, we're going to be hurt by the fact that both the federal government and kind of by, not so much their own will as the fact that resources are disappearing, the state government is going to be in a situation of kind of ratcheting back from the support that we've spent so long building. Right? So, this is part of the fact situation underlying all of our situation. And I'm going to make a proposal, as I said, a pitch, right? Some of us have decided that it's time that we should not be quite so passive about all this. Right? And it's about time that we all started talking to each other about how we can start driving some of the events that are happening that are going to affect our lives down the road. We have National Digital Inclusion Alliance, which just works tirelessly at this stuff nationally. Broadband Ohio has put together some regional coalitions, and they've been great in terms of planning work and so on. They're not really advocacy operations, right? Frankly, right? We have a Greater Cleveland Digital Equity Coalition. There are similar coalitions in Columbus, in Cincinnati. There are other ways that people work together. That's all great, right? It's probably really time to try to figure out a way to make all of that infrastructure a little more effective. Because ultimately what we need is for the people who have been our friends and the people who are not so sure they want to be our friends to decide that all of what you heard today in this room, right, is a very good reason to say, well, if we can't get the money from over there, we're going to take it from here, right? We have to make this possible. We have to continue to make sure this continues to happen. It doesn't just happen in Cleveland. It doesn't just happen in Cuyahoga County. It happens where I am and in Youngstown and in Columbus and in Toledo and in Defiance and in Athens, right? And in California and in Texas and in Minnesota. This is something that needs to happen for all the same reasons, with all the same people,
Right.
every place in the country. Whether those places are urban or rural or suburban, doesn't matter. We have people who need this work, and they're going to need this work going on for a very long time. So here's the pitch. Next Wednesday, a week from today, from 11 to 12, we're going to have a conference call. Right? The we is a bunch of us who decided to do this, but we're all National Digital Inclusion Alliance members, right? And the purpose of the conference call is to put our heads together across the state, anybody who wants to start figuring out how we can start supporting Broadband Ohio's efforts to hold on to some of the money that they've gotten, Broadband Ohio's ability to spend whatever money they can hold on to, right, to support this work, right? And probably most important, how to affect the willingness of the governor and of other elected officials to go ahead and figure out where to find the money if it isn't going to come from the federal government, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
There's a competitive grant fund that Broadband Ohio set up and actually has proposals in the can for. People put them together, submitted them back in April. It's $12 million. $12 million across the state. How much did we find in the couch cushions for a stadium?
Was it 60?
600 million, right? Somehow they found that, right? So anyway, you get it. So, so all I want to say is any organization in the room, and actually any individual, who'd like to be part of that conference call or be on that list, then we're not starting a new organization, we're not starting any of that stuff. This is really task-oriented. Let's put our heads together and figure out how we can start pushing back in the direction of getting some of this money back. And if you want to be part of that, it's going to happen next Wednesday. I'm Bill Callahan. I have business cards in my pocket, so if you don't already have my email address, right, I'm going to try to get the coalition to send this out. I'm sure they'll do that. And,
Yes.
And so, but however, come up to me, give me your email, get my card, it's something, and we'll make sure you're on the list for that. And that's my deal.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bill. That is extremely important. The work that they are about to embark upon is really trying to get the government to release the money that is just kind of hanging out there. So, and it is designated and earmarked for digital equity and inclusion programs throughout the state. And he was right, it just kind of went away on a nose. In fact, there was a big broadband meeting about to take place in Columbus, and when the administration reigned, the meeting was canceled like the day before or something like that. I do recall that vividly. So we do need to be able to put some boots on the ground. Where my fans? Sorry about that. Some of y'all got that reference. But boots on the ground, foot soldiers, to really be able to help. And sometimes it's just about listening and sharing. So I also like to charge this D3 Town Hall. We have captured many people's email addresses, and then perhaps we can do a follow-up email that would include that information about the town hall that Bill is talking about. So seniors, if you get this email as well as a little link to a survey, we would like you to fill that out. Get your digital navigators or your instructors to help you open that email and log in to the survey or into the Zoom call that will be taking place. Because this wasn't not just a town hall, but again, like we said, a call to action. And that means what are next steps? And we all have the power to be a part of that. You said amazing things in here from all of the organizations. Your senior testimonies were amazing. We want to extract some of this information, these two testimonials that will go out and publicize some of this amazing work that has taken place. So that's another charge that we are wanting to work on. So I would now like to bring Ms. Davis up for some final remarks as we get ready to close out the program. You were phenomenal. Thank you for staying over. We are so appreciative of that. It was just so much greatness. We just couldn't cut people off at that minute. So we're learning. Thanks again to this panel for the call to action and amazing things that you're doing in your respective fields. Ms. Davis.
I'm behind you. I'm like Russell. That's all, folks. No, seriously, thank you all for attending and joining us. And yeah, I got that. And just for being patient and listening, I want to thank Anna Miller again from Broadband, Ohio. We're going to make sure you get that recording to get it to the governor so he can see the constituents here. We need his help. So just as Bill asked for the call to action, we will be asking all of you, because you all are digitally literate, on your way. And so we're going to make sure that you stay connected. And then as we decide, we may draw up a letter, or we may ask all of you to sign it to make that request. Because once the legislation hears from the people, which is us, that's when action starts. So we're going to ask you to be our foot soldiers as you continue to bring people to us to learn. We want them to be ready when it comes time to vote. We're in this position, why? Because the voting. So I'm telling you to tell everyone you know, going forward, do not miss a voting opportunity. Yeah. That's where our voices are heard. And I'm gonna go any further. I gotta thank my staff, the ASC3 crowd. Stand up. Teresa, Tracy, John, Caleb, April, Radina, Cynthia. Just thank them for being there with us, because I think I get on their nerve every day, and they bite their tongue all day, but they all come back the next day to help me out. So I really appreciate them. And then one success story I'll have to tell you, Cynthia Felder started with us, is not some skills, because she worked for the IRS for 30 or 40 years, but then like you say, that was just one thing, but then she learned a whole lot of other things from us, and she kind of started as a student, and then as the alumni leader with her classmates, and then now she's joined us as a part-time staffer. How about that? How wonderful is that? And that's because of the digital inclusion training. And I'm gonna let that in. And again, I gotta thank my national partner, Angela. Where are you? There, I see you, for coming in and sharing that drop the mic news to us that, hey, we're on the move. Because when NDIA moves, I'm gonna say it, so does the nation. Thank you all so much, and we appreciate you.